And now 3 people have been confirmed dead, while 1 person is still missing after flood waters swept them away as a result of heavy downpour in Zaria. Protest reports say the corpse of an 18-year-old lady, Fatima Sani Damarke, a student of School of Basic and Remedial Studies, Funtua, with the baby she was backing, and another student, Yusuf Surajo, known as Abba, were recovered dead at Isanabawa Primary School Bridge, Tudun, Wada, Zaria. While Surajo was recovered on Monday, the corpse of Fatima and the 3-year-old baby were recovered on Tuesday. An eyewitness, Mustafa Badamasi Bakano of Tukur Jukun, said the 3 corpses were recovered separately, with the remaining one still missing. Bakano explained that the incident occurred on Monday evening following a heavy downpour recorded in the area. Daily Trust reporter in Zaria is joining us via phone call to give us an update. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, good evening.
All right, so can you confirm the current number of casualties and the status of the missing person?
Well, so far we have confirmation of 2 people who died. One, Yusuf Surajo, popularly known as Abba, a student of Nova Mali Polytechnic here in Zaria, who came to rescue the victim. And the second one is the 18-year-old girl who was backing a baby, Fatima Sani Damarke. She is a student of School of Basic and Remedial Studies, Funtua in Kaduna State, who was on vacation. And she was coming from Magumi to her residence, which is a trackable distance. She went to see her grannies, and on her way coming back, she was given a lift by her Islamia teacher on a motorcycle. Now, on reaching a junction by Nasarawa Baptist Church along Gaskia Road into the Njukun, the water have submerged the main route, including the drainage, to the extent that the motorbike could not ride on. So she stepped down, or she jumped down from the motorbike, and incidentally she slipped into the big drainage along with the baby she was backing. And that was what happened, and the water submerged her.
Okay, so how are the residents in Zaria reacting to this tragic event?
Honestly, people are reacting in different ways. A lot of people, especially Dr. Umar Tabari of Nova Mali Polytechnic, was of the opinion that such incidents can be avoidable because parents should have heed to the NIMET predictions of rainfall and weather forecast. And secondly, you opine that a parent will prevent their children from going out during rainfall and immediately after rainfall. Such incidents can be avoided. However, he advised the government to ensure that it completed putting the slab on that drainage on the newly constructed Gaskia main road, because the drainage was covered from the beginning of the road at Barewa Junction to Gaskia Corporation. And it was from Gaskia Corporation down to the river Kamacha that was left open. And that was where the incident occurred.
Okay, so yes. We know that, you know, there are agencies that are watching out for forecasts and giving updates always, but were there any previous warnings about flooding in the area before the heavy downpour?
Yeah, there are a series of forecasts from NIMET. The recent one was the one indicating that 14 states will record or witness heavy downfall and flooding. And Kaduna State is one of them. Though Zaria was not mentioned in the 14th state, but earlier prediction had always captured Zaria, and especially that area, because Magume, Tudunjukul, Tukutukur, and Korenangoma are all very close to two deadly rivers, River Kubani and River Kamacha. And normally, every year, those rivers submerge people. So parents should have noticed and taken heed of that prediction and focus to avoid sending their children out when the rain is falling or immediately after it.
Were there any arrangements made by the Kaduna State government before the flooding, to alert the people to evacuate the area?
Honestly, the Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, had been sponsoring jingles and making awareness campaign on what to do and what not to do based on the prediction of NIMED. So the state government has put up machineries of sensitization earlier before now, and they have been doing it rigorously.
All right. Thank you so much for your update, Abubakar Sadiq.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Yeah. Still on rainfall, no fewer than 545 households have been displaced after 2 days of torrential rainfall, with 171 houses also damaged across communities in Kaduna North local government area of Kaduna State. The Executive Secretary, Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, Usman Mazadu, made this known in a statement in Kaduna on Tuesday. Mazadu said the agency led a joint assessment of the affected areas to determine the scale of destruction and coordinate emergency response. He explained that the rain, which fell between September 4th and 5th, forced responders to move from evaluation to urgent evacuation in some communities as floodwaters submerged homes and properties. Mazadu said Kigo Road community was worst hit with 69 buildings and 276 households were flooded, adding that a private nursery and primary school, Merit Kids Academic School, was also affected. Now, joining us via Zoom to discuss this further is former General Manager, Kaduna State Environmental Protection Authority, Yusuf Abdullahi Rigasa. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. Can you hear us? Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, what do you think are the major factors responsible for the frequent flooding experience in Kaduna State?
Well, for me, if you ask me as the former general manager of KEPA, one is lack of awareness, and the second one is negligence of those saddled with environmental responsibilities at all levels. These are the major causes of flood, because this is not a new thing. It has been happening for the last 2 decades. And every year, it's like an emergency fire response, towards mitigating flood. Flood has been with us for as far as human being has been on this land. So we also have mitigated challenges long time ago, from 2012 to date. Several governments have made several efforts, but it's as if our short of giving us the right solutions.
Looking at the recent incident that displaced over 500 households, what does this tell us about the state of flood management in Kaduna State?
Flood management, not only in Kaduna State, generally the whole nation is very poor. The early warning systems are generally very good. If you look at the projection, NIMED and other federal government agencies, they are always excellent. But when it comes to preparedness, it's as if do with political responsibilities. In terms of environmental management, they are always negligent of their duty, or maybe they are short of technical and financial resources to prepare adequately for this kind of eventualities. And that is the reason why people have to suffer.
We've seen what happened in Kigo Road. What role does waste management and drainage blockage plays in aggravating flooding in these communities?
When you talk of waste management and desilting of drains, these are primary responsibilities of local governments. And as things stand today, the local governments have no such responsibilities, or these responsibilities have been taken over by state governments. If you could remember, about 4 decades ago, these responsibilities have been discharged by environmental health officers domiciled at various local government. Now, the sanitarians, or what we popularly call in Hausa, they are no longer functional, and that is why waste management and desilting of residential or neighborhood drains are no longer possible, because the local government don't have the financial and technical competence to discharge these environmental responsibilities. So as long as the Bugaris are no longer functional, we'll continue to experience this kind of flooding in our neighborhoods. There is no any other way.
We also see many residents building along waterways. What long-term policies do you think government should implement to prevent this event?
Well, flood mitigation has, there are short-term measures and long-term measures. But if you want to, mitigate flood long-term, what it means is that there has to be a flood mitigation, master plan for the city. And the government of El-Rufai has done a lot in terms of creating expanded roads and, urban drains. But in certain neighborhoods, this infrastructure are not sufficient. So there has to be continuity. The present government as well as local governments must take their environmental responsibilities seriously. And there is need for the state government as well as federal government to empower, local governments, to empower neighborhood cooperatives. In those days when I was growing up, all over Kaduna, there is something in Hausa we used to call Aikin Gaya. That is the most sustainable solution. Communities must take their environmental responsibilities into their own hands. That is the only way forward. You can't be waiting when there is a flood. Usually the response is very poor. So you have to find a way of assisting yourself. Otherwise, there is no way you can survive. That is just a long-term strategy. Communities and citizens must take their environmental responsibility into their own hands. Government cannot provide solutions to everybody at every time.
All right, thank you so much, Yusuf Abdullahi Rigasa, for joining us on the News Hour this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.